Welcome back, Truth Seeker. A lot of people asking me to cover the Sherrone Moore firing at Michigan and then his subsequent arrest and jailing. It's being reported he's in jail right now, and there's no clear explanation for why he was jailed. Of course, this happens at the end of the college football season, and it occurs by the numbers. We covered it as the news broke on December 10th very briefly, but I went into much greater detail. And what I'm going to show is how this is no doubt another perfect ritual shaming another black man. So it goes on all the time in the media, and how connected it is to the shaming of Mel Tucker, who was the Michigan State coach, who went through something very similar and reportedly lost a $95 million contract. Of course, that number should stand out to you right away, 95 if you're a veteran of this channel. If you don't know why it matters, we'll get to what it has to do with who runs the show and how it goes way back to the Protestant Reformation and the 95 Theses pinned by Martin Luther, going with Martin Luther King Jr. changing his name only to be assassinated on the 95th day of the year. All of this stuff is connected, and it's just a straight line through history once you realize what's actually going on. Jake Butt, we'll bring him in, the former Michigan tight end who fell way down in the draft after Harbaugh shook hands with the Pope. We'll go back to that ritual, how he fell to the 145th pick. Like there's 145 chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Again, as you'll see, this all comes back to the church that does run this nation. And there's a reason they like the Michigan football program. And for people who don't understand, being the head coach of the Michigan football team, that's probably the highest office in all of Michigan. Half the people in Michigan probably don't even know the governor's name, but they know who the coach of the Michigan football team is. They probably don't know who their local representative is or senator or mayor, but they know who the coach of the Michigan football team is. So, there's a lot of stuff like this. You got the raccoons out here, the Jason Whitlocks of the world making stories like this. This stuff's all over YouTube right now. Jim Harbaugh poisoned Michigan with DEI head coach Sherrone Moore. And you can see probably a fake view count. You can see it has 59,000 views. Again, that should stand out in this community, right? That's the number stamped all over the slave code. That's why Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. And Motown came out in 59. Again, YouTube with their algorithm loves to fudge the numbers ritualistically. It might sound crazy, but you learn what we're talking about, you'll see through all of it. And let's just get into this firing of Sherrone Moore. Again, I pointed out December 10th when the news broke that he was fired on the 311th day of his age, which is the 64th prime, which in gematria corresponds with Michigan. Michigan equals 64, like there's 64 spaces on the chessboard. And a lot of rituals in Michigan with this number that we've covered over the years, been a lot of them. But if you're new here, this practice of coding numbers into words, it comes from Kabbalah. And Kabbalah was the knowledge used by the governing class in Europe before this nation was founded by many Europeans. And some of you guys who think Tucker Carlson, for example, some kind of truth teller when he's been one of the biggest shills in mainstream media for decades, he goes around with that little red bracelet on his wrist. That's the Kabbalah bracelet. People at the top are into Kabbalah. Most people in the general public have no idea of Kabbalah, but a practice within it is the practice of coding numbers into words. And of course, modern Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. All of the American sports are credited to Freemasons, including American football, which is credited to Walter Camp, the Scottish Rite Freemason and former Skull and Bones member. But yeah, again, the 311th day of Sherrone Moore's age is the day he gets fired, Wednesday, December 10th, and then jailed right after. And just wait how we bring this all together. Remember, 201 is 311 in base 8 counting. And it's kind of like how Event 201 was put on by a bunch of Jesuits. That was the Cooties simulation for Cooties 19, the thing that locked down the world, where every face of it was a Jesuit. Again, for people who don't know, we're on the Jesuit orders calendar. English was standardized by Jesuits, synced up with the calendar to make this system. But Event 201 was the simulation, and then 311 was the day the pandemic was declared, okay? So that's how these numbers fit together. And the man who's going to take over Sherrone Moore's spot, understand in gematria, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the Jesuit order is 201. When you run it forwards, Ignatius of Loyola is 201. That's the founder of the Jesuits. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first Jesuit Pope, 201. Remember, he met with Harbaugh, who was the coach before Sherrone Moore. Pope Francis was the first Jesuit Pope, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. He recently died by the numbers on Rome's birthday. He died 201 days from St. Francis of Assisi's death anniversary, who he was named after. On and on and on. This 201 number is massive with the Jesuits, who run the show, who control pretty much the education system, including the collegiate sports, the pro sports. Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. These things go hand in hand. But with regards to the Jesuits, the current interim coach is named after Francis Xavier, the number 2 in command in Jesuit history. Ignatius of Loyola is at the top, and number 2 is Francis Xavier. So what are the odds the new coach would be named after such a prominent Jesuit, Francis Xavier? He goes by Biff Poggi. His actual name is Francis Xavier Poggi. And notice he used to coach the Charlotte 49ers. Harbaugh, the old Michigan coach, where's he coach now? Doesn't he coach the San Francisco 49ers? The other week they beat Charlotte or the Panthers in prime time, becoming 9-5 for the year, like they won their last Super Bowl in 95 with 49 points over the Chargers. And Harbaugh finished with the 49ers with the 49 wins and now coaches the Chargers. Chargers had a big win. And then next thing you know, Sherrone Moore is going through this and Harbaugh's name's in there and people are blaming Harbaugh for hiring this man, including Jason Whitlock, Uncle T, saying that was a DEI hire. No, you're just an Uncle T promoting the propaganda. But look how perfect this is. You don't think it's the Jesuits doing this? Look how perfect this is. So the firing and arrest came 187 days after Francis Xavier Poggi's birthday. Society of Jesus. The formal title of the Jesuits equals 187. Again, this gematria system is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. You want to know both ciphers. They're both super important. But look at what day Sherrone Moore officially became the head coach of Michigan. It happened on the state's birthday, January 26th. The state's 187th birthday. Sherrone Moore hired on the 187th birthday of the state of Michigan. And arguably the biggest position you could have in the state of Michigan. What's bigger than Michigan football? This nation follows Michigan football. Michigan's always been a big deal. When I was a kid, you wanted to play on the Fab Five. Chris Webber just didn't know when to call the timeout. Anyway, look at this. Look how perfect this is. And for people who don't understand, this stuff's going on day after day. The Jesuits run this nation and its psychological operations. Lincoln said they were the greatest purveyors of slavery and racism in the country. So just think about it. Think about the historical context. Think about the founders like Jefferson and Adams who were worried about the Jesuits coming out of suppression, only for them to die together on the same day, July 4th, 1826. And then Monroe, who also didn't like the church, who the Jesuits served. He just happened to die 1,826 days later on July 4th as well. But yeah. A man named after the Jesuits who also used to coach at St. Francis Academy. That was before he got his Michigan coaching job. And then for a minute, he went to Charlotte, the 49ers, where remember when George Seifert went from the 49ers to the Panthers, and now Christian McCaffrey from the Panthers to the 49ers had a big game over the Panthers on primetime the other week. Became 9-5. San Francisco is arguably the most Jesuit city in America because it has 2 Jesuit universities, one in San Francisco and one in Santa Clara, where they moved the stadium to. It's where Slick Willie Gavin Newsom went, Santa Clara. But yeah, look how perfect this is. Look how perfect. And how about Mel Tucker? What day did he get in trouble? Oh, September 27th. Interesting. September 27th. Is that the day in history that the Jesuits were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church? It sure is. Notice how his name in gematria equals 54, like Jesuit order. Mel Tucker was also born in 72. You run it in reverse, Jesuit order 72. Their logo's the sun with the alphabetic order. SUN is 54. 19 plus 21 plus 14, 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Remember, September 27th is when Jesuit lawyer Johnny Cochran said, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And then it's more recently... well, that was just days before OJ was found not guilty. But then more recently, Diddy, who I told you was going to go down at age 54, and he did. Remember, he was sentenced on the anniversary of the OJ not guilty verdict. and that was exactly 54 weeks after his arrest. He was taken down by the same Jesuit prosecutor who took down R. Kelly that saw him sentenced to prison at age 54 on September 27th. Funny how these numbers just keep recurring, the same numbers over and over. And don't forget, John Carroll equals 54, who established Georgetown at age 54, like the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu, building 54. And Roddy Piper's They Live, Roddy Piper born in 54, and They Live, Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. Roddy Piper, he tweeted on September 27th that They Live was a documentary where Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. Just happened to die not that long after on the anniversary of the founder of the Jesuits dying, July 31st. Remember, he gets in that long fight out scene, with kind of can't think of the actor's name right now, but black gentleman. He just wanted the black man to put on the glasses and see what was really going on. And again, the reason a Jason Whitlock and the rest of these Uncle Toms that are getting paid on YouTube won't put on the glasses is because being an Uncle Tom right now pays. YouTube tolerates it in the algorithm. Imagine if all these Uncle Toms all of a sudden had it out for, the Saturday School Clan. You think they'd have big views? They'd be demonetized and deleted. Anyway, it's cool to be, shitting on black people. See, YouTube that's censored and deleted so many people, including yours truly 20-some times, and now buried me in the algorithm where nobody can even find the channel. They said that they were doing all this over the years to protect people. And yet they promote all this racially divisive, religiously divisive, politically divisive trash that is just morons talking about things that are above their head, that they think they're so wise and all-knowing in. There's so many videos right now on this talking about, oh, man, another dumb black coach ruining it for the rest of us, can't keep his hands off the white girl. It's such a psyop, you guys. It's such a psyop, and we're not even done. When Mel Tucker got fired, again, born in 72, notice it was 266 days after his birthday. Does that remind you of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, who was the 266th Pope in the history of the church, who spoke in D.C., where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to America, eventually where the capital was moved to? By the way, Inauguration Day was eventually moved to the 20/1 date, the 201st day of the nation's age, when you measure from July 4th. But remember, Pope Francis spoke in D.C. on September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. The Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, 266. Don't forget when Kobe died on the Pope's birthday, Kobe died at 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age, like Kobe Bryant equals 41. There was a lot more to that. He died on the anniversary of Bear Bryant, who died in 83, like helicopter crash equals 83, and the Pope was 83 at the time. But Kobe also died 266 days after his wife's birthday. Not an accident. It's also 38 weeks, like he had the affair with the woman, cheated on his wife supposedly in the 38th state. That was more black man shaming. How many NBA players that weren't black do you think cheated on their wives and it wasn't made into a big news story? How many non-black coaches do you think had an affair with the students? Since it happens all the time at college level, and it never made the news. It was never a firing. It was never a huge story all throughout the headlines, like Mel Tucker and SHERRONE Moore. How many times do you think it happened and it never made the news? 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times. Probably close to 100,000. Probably more worldwide. But anyway, Isus Hominum Salvator, 266. I mean, literally the Jesuit motto that's connected to the first Jesuit Pope, and literally the biggest day in Jesuit history, September 27th. Which, again, like I said, they did R. Kelly that way, Diddy that way. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And this woman that there's relatively any details about, she's already blocked all of her social media. But her father works in the National Fix League with the Chicago Bears. And remember, Chicago equals 46, Catholic equals 46, Michigan 46. And don't forget, we're in the time of the first American Pope from Chicago. And of course, the last Pope had to die on the 312th day of Trump's age before we got the first American Pope from the 312 area code. But anyway, her father works in the National Fix League. And not to mention the National Fix League was founded in Chicago. But yeah, his name's Jeff Shiver, the father of the woman connected to SHERRONE Moore. And his name is 54 forwards and backwards. I mean, just what are the odds? What are the odds? And how about this? from the day that Sherrone Moore was first hired by Michigan as an assistant on January 15th, which is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And remember, he was killed in a 95 ritual, and Mel Tucker had to give up a $95 million contract, and September 27th leaves 95 days left in the air. I forgot to mention that. Again, the Jesuits' original mission was to counter the 95 Theses. Mel Tucker goes down on the day, leaving 95 days left in the air, and the headline is he has to give up a $95 million contract. No, that's just the joke. And again, listen to the Uncle Toms talk about it. Listen to this guy talk about it. Listen to everyone talk about it. You know, black man can't even control what's in his pants when he's got 95 million coming to him. This is how the PSYOP works. And I get sick of all the dummies that think this shit's a coincidence every day. So January 15th, 115, from the Mel Tucker ritual to the Sherrone Moore ritual 115 days later. Keep in mind, Masonic is 115 as well. Again, Masons and Jesuits, like DC's the Masonic city, but it's really where the Jesuits set up camp. The daddies of modern Freemasonry. And here's another one from the Michigan season opener this year. The shaming ritual for Sherrone Moore, 102 days. Remember, the American Civil War began on the 102nd day of the year. Lincoln blamed it on the Jesuits, said they were the greatest purveyors of slavery and racism. The American Civil War began April 12th, 1861, the 102nd day. Slavery is 102. So is that N-word that ends with ER. That's also 102. This stuff happens all the time. You know? Look at this raccoon over here. This guy, I called him out the other day because I know his actual real name, and I found his old social media. In 2018, all this guy was posting about on social media for years was Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, kneel for the anthem. That was what he was doing online. He was just riding along with that whole wave that was going on in the media. Remember what we were doing at that time? We were showing how these rigged rituals were to divide the country, and they were showing what the rigged Super Bowl was, as we called Super Bowl after Super Bowl off understanding the rigging. You know, Super Bowl 50, where USA Today had to write their hit piece on me. I explained in week 3 why Peyton Manning in his 18th season, number 18, was going to ride off into the sunset after beating Cam Newton in the Bay Area, where the Black Panthers were founded by Huey P. Newton. The same year that Cam Newton was born was the year that Huey P. Newton died. Cam Newton born on the 131st day of the year. Huey P. Newton died on the day, leaving 131 days left in the year. Huey P. Newton equals 131 like Super Bowl. The small way, Huey P. Newton equals 58. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start the Super Bowl. And Von Miller, number 58, drafted 1 pick after Cam Newton was the MVP of that game. And don't forget who called it all in week 3. The right teams, the right Super Bowl MVP, Von Miller. Because I said it's got to be a defensive game. Peyton Manning can't even throw the ball this year in the National Fixed League. Every pass is a wounded duck, which it was. First pass of, go back and look up the box score of the first play of Super Bowl 50. A wounded duck. If you don't know what a wounded duck is, it's a wobbly, shitty pass. A wobbly, shitty pass from a broken Peyton Manning for an 18-yard gain to number 81. And go back and watch the highlight of that. Look at the cushion on number 81, playing 10 yards off this slow as molasses guy when Peyton Manning can't even throw the ball with any velocity. What kind of defense is this? That's called the National Fixed League defense for the rigged 18-yard gain to start the last game of number 18's career in his 18th season. Not to mention the Jesuit motto IHS, or the motto is Jesus Hominum Salvator, but the abbreviation for the motto equals 18 forwards and backwards. Anyway, the point is, this guy, what was, his whole online presence was doing what was on TV. What he learned, though, this is Chaotic Raccoon, if you don't know. This is what he now does online. He learned that being an Uncle Tom online pays the bills. This is trendy on YouTube. You watch this guy's live stream all day. He sits online and calls black people N-word with the ER ending. Just says it over and over and over. And what's crazy is that's monetizable. What's crazy is he doesn't get his videos taken down. Meanwhile, I can put up a video just showing it, breaking something down by the news by the numbers, and it might just get taken down for hate speech. You just never know when YouTube's going to do it again. But a guy like this can sit on and be a raccoon all day, and, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it really is sick the way this platform works, and it's sick that YouTube is really pushing this race divide, just like the media does. They're all controlled by the same thing. Same Jesuits run big tech that run your federal government, your nightly news. Again, they run this nation. And yeah, anyway, I called this guy out about his 2018 social media. And when I called him out, what did he do? He ran to that social media and just deleted it all. Just deleted it all. Instead of addressing how he made the turnaround, he just doesn't even want people to know that he was doing that so recently. Wants to make it seem like he's some mega conservative, proud Uncle T. It's sick, man. It is sick. All of this stuff is so sick. And nobody wants to talk about it. That's what else is sick. They just want to chalk it all up to coincidence. Candace Owens, she became a Catholic just right before her 35th birthday, just a few days before. She announced 6 days before her 35th birthday that she'd become a Catholic. Remember, she's leading people astray with the whole Charlie Kirk psyop, which was all synced up with the Jesuits and the Pope from the beginning. But remember, the first Catholic president, JFK, number 35, killed on I-35. If you run it in reverse, Catholic's 46, like he was killed at 46, like the nation's second Catholic president was number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, after he sacrificed his son, Beau Biden, at 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday. But yeah, all these people that get promoted, like Candace, they're all in the club, you guys. Her husband's a Jew who converted to Catholicism, just like a lot of the Jesuit founders were the same thing. The thing yesterday with Tyler Robinson, we knew in the National Fix League, Bijan Robinson was going to score yesterday, as well as the Godwin ritual was the best. We loved Godwin yesterday for the touchdown. We love Falcons to cover the spread. Every single game this year on TNF, it's been a division rival. The dog has covered the spread or won the game. Every single game. Every single time on TNF this year in division rivalries, like last night, you had the NFC South. But yeah, I mean, look, we told you about the whole Charlie Kirk thing as it broke down. YouTube had to take down my video for hate speech, even though it was just a number breakdown showing it was all connected with the Superior General and the Pope. And yesterday, again, 92 days after the assassination, the assassin's in court for the first time. I mean, this stuff's all BS. But look at this. Remember, I mean, there's Charlie Kirk and Trump doing the Freemason handshake right there, right in front of your face. There were a lot of 58s in Charlie Kirk's death ritual in Utah, not to mention they said the shooter was a Mormon, and the Mormons were founded by the Freemason Joseph Smith. And yesterday was 58 days after Charlie Kirk's birthday anniversary, which is also the day in history the Superior General became the Superior General. The current one, he's the 31st, like Charlie Kirk was 31. But remember, the Pope had become the Pope on May 8th, replacing Pope Francis, who became a Jesuit in 58. And look at this. Yesterday, from the Pope's birthday to the ritual was 88 days. It was also 218 days from him becoming the Pope. Didn't we talk about this the day that Charlie Kirk got shot, which was 88 days after Trump's birthday? How Turning Point USA and Holy Roman Empire have the same numbers, just in reverse, 88, 74, 187, 218. Remember, the Holy Roman Empire supposedly ended on August 6th, 1806, the 218th day of the year. But look at this now. Look at this ritual yesterday with the assassin. Look how perfect it is. 218 days from becoming Pope and 88 days after his birthday. And remember, Charlie Kirk shot 88 days after Trump's birthday. Erica Kirk, born in 88, went to the Jesuit University in Denver after the Charlie Kirk shooting. The shooting in Evergreen, Colorado, which equals 88. Where, again, the founder of South Park graduated from high school in 88, who just done the episode about Charlie Kirk. The next thing you know, you got the Snake Eyes film that's about Donald Trump, a character based on Donald Trump, organizing a conspiracy to kill Charles Kirkland, when the actor who played Charles Kirkland in the film was 88 years old at the time Charlie Kirk was shot. And yada, yada, yada. And the million other 88 rituals of Trump, including Oprah in Chicago asking Trump if he'd want to be president someday back in 1988. And now the Pope dies on the 312th day of Trump's age, the 312 area code Chicago, and you get the first American Pope from Chicago. What's that number associated with death in the occult? Isn't it 4? Charlie Kirk died September 10th is the story, 4 days before the Pope's birthday. You don't think these people are running all this shit? You must be stupid. You got to be so stupid to not see that this shit is way beyond coincidence. And again, Catholic equals Chicago equals Michigan. The factors here. let me take you back to the drafting of Jake Butt, where Wikipedia kept his name up as Jake Dick Butt for 2 weeks after he got drafted. See how Catholics 46 and 145? Jake Butt fell to the 145th pick of the draft. You see how Catholics also 71? Look at Denver Broncos, who drafted him. And do you know when Jake Butt got hurt and his career got ended? September 27th, the big Jesuit day. That's when Jake Butt's NFL career was over, on that big Jesuit day. And now they got Jake Butt on the news talking about what happened to Sherrone Moore. You don't think he's on script? Did he even really get hurt, Jake Dick Butt? Remember they did the Dick Butt kiss dead right before Thursday Night Football, where the Bears blew out the competition? We smoked that so hard that night. It was ridiculous. Look at this, you guys. I want you to go back and look at what the Bears record was the day that Dick Butkus died. There's something known as Jewish Gematria or Latin Gematria, which Derek's renamed it. See how Richard Butkus is 787? And you see how Dick Butkus is 628? That's what the Bears record became the day that Dick Butkus died on Thursday. They got their 787th win and stayed on 628 losses. We were just like, oh, this is a lock. We had the exact amount of touchdowns for Justin Fields. We crushed that game. All the player props, it was all in tribute to Dick Butkus. And who likes to put their dick in little kids' butts? The same people that have convinced you to spend your weekends watching men bent over in tights. And they gave you the position, the tight end, which Jake Butt played. The whole thing's got this sexual vibe to it. And they got to shame another black coach with the Jesuit numbers so that people can make the stories. I mean, look at it. Look at this headline. Black man can't stop self-sabotaging. Who's on here right now? He's got the racist Santa Claus and a bunch of other clueless people. Don't have a clue what's going on. But anyway, yeah, it's just, you know, it's just another day in the life. I mean, it's what goes on every day. You know, covered the black box thing this morning. Don't forget, every face of Cooties 19 was a Jesuit, from Trump to Fauci to Cuomo to Newsom to Redfield. And remember, today they put on this black box for the Cooties 19 shot. Today is the anniversary that the news broke of Cooties 19, right after the Cooties 19 simulation, the day of the military world games in Wuhan, China. Don't forget who was out in the freezing cold and rain when this was all just beginning, telling it how exactly it was going to play out. Again, not enough people came out. I gave out $2,500 in hoodies to get a crowd of people there. We had about 50-some people outside the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We went downtown Seattle. We got Deborah Horn of Cairo 7 to come out. But we were explaining all this from the beginning. Who's running the show, how all this stuff's connected. But look, from the Event 201 simulation, Event 201, to the first stories of Cooties, 56 days. Look what Cooties equals, like the shot, like Anthony Fauci, like Society of Jesus, like everything that happened that year, by the way. Everything in 2020 was 56. Black Lives Matter. Remember, the toilet paper sold out. A lot of crazy weather, power outages. The Soleimani stampede after Trump had him assassinated and was all gloating about it. Like that's like it's proud to be killing. It's just all this stuff's sick, man. You know who loved to pick on Muslims back in the day and still does? The church. Crusades, ain't nothing changed. But yeah, all this stuff goes back to the same old source, same old people doing all of it. So anyway, shame on all the raccoons. Shame on all the people that think this stuff's a coincidence. Thank you very much, Leper Messiah. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Slimeverse 46. Appreciate it. Thank you for becoming a member, Slimeverse. And somehow you became a member 2 times or something. Anyway, thank you. And that's what's crazy too, just being a racist piece of shit online. That pays a lot better than being a truth teller. You watch, this guy just gets nonstop super chats for being an absolute goon. And it wouldn't be, people like this wouldn't be enabled if the populace wasn't just absolute trash. People are just so full of hate because they're all programmed from this divisive media that put all these ideas in their head. People need to go outside and interact with more people of race, religion, and see. Most people are just decent people at the end of the day, albeit they might be dumb and ignorant and believing the TV before they believe anything else. But all this fear mongering and division, it really is a bunch of shit. So 6 years to the day, guys, like stand 6 feet apart. How many 6 feet apart signs did you see in the time of Cooties 19? They're about $1 million per big box store. So anyway, here's the update. Charged with home invasion and stalking. So the charges come out today. I saw something early. I think I know what it is. I think I know why they did this today. I think I saw this in his full name. Let me double check this. I think his full name corresponds with what day of the year we're in. Sherrone Moore. Check this out. 346. Is today the 346th day of the year? Is that right? December 12th. December 12th is the 346th day of the year. So on the 346th day of the year, they figured out what it is. Yeah. Okay. It's not just another coincidence. Or to the dummy, it is. You got 5 ciphers up there. Yeah. Okay. And normally I wouldn't have this one up here, but these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. This is how I learned about it. So why wouldn't I teach it this way? This is how I learned about it. I'm sharing with you what I learned. I could talk to you about a lot of those numbers up there. Like the Jesuits operating in 112 countries, like 113 coming from the Talmud being a number of deception. It's also the 30th prime, another number that connects to the race code. 221. You know what? Sherrone Moore's record with Michigan is 18-8. Like Bavarian Illuminati's 188. Like the U.S. dollar bill denominations add up to 188. 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 adds up to 188. If you put a the in front of it, it's 221. So, and don't forget who founded the Illuminati, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. All goes back to the Jesuits. But yeah, on the 346th day of the year, we get some charges. So glad I checked that real quick before I signed out of here. I'm going to hop over onto Patreon. It's $5 Friday. If you're on the $5 tier, it's the day we cover sports. I got to warn, though, I'm not real crazy about what's going on in the world of sports. There's some decent-looking college basketball games. Again, I have 3 tiers on Patreon. Somebody else say cover more than sports on Patreon, and I'd sign up. All you guys who say that kind of annoy me. Realize I could just start doing everything on Patreon. If that's what it's going to take for you guys to support, I could just stop doing this because we're not getting any exposure or spreading new people out here. I could just move everything to Patreon. I could just do every last thing on Patreon. I hate when people leave that comment. I'd support your Patreon, but I don't care about sports. Understand that I do everything for free that actually matters on the outside because I don't want to put it behind a paywall. I'd still like your financial support because this work needs way more support. The reason I put the sports stuff behind a paywall is because if people want to make money off the knowledge, and I do give you guys a lot of good free stuff too. Like I gave you a 35 Thursday for free last week. It was 35 Thursday again this week. Todd Bowles stayed on 35 wins with Tampa Bay. Anyway, there's 3 tiers for sports. There's $5 tier that gets you what we do on Friday. It's $5 Friday today. $11 tier gets you live streams Monday through Friday, sports notes 365 days a year, of course 366 in a leap year. $20 tier gets you everything, every stream, every note. And the thing that you get on the $20 tier that you don't get on the $11 tier are the NFL streams, which we do an exclusive NFL stream for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Saturday evening, Sunday morning for the NFL, sometimes UFC. Again, it's all rigged, you guys. You learn this knowledge. All of these things are rigged by this information. The same code is how it's all rigged from college to pro. And if you doubt that, hey, learn about it and then tell me if you doubt it. How about Chris Godwin last night? Did you guys get the ritual with him? Let me show you the guy's 40th regular season touchdown last night. I want you to see what they did with Chris Godwin last night. It was just a thing of beauty. We love this man for a touchdown last night. Chris Godwin, you can see, got his 40th regular season touchdown last night, his first of the year, right? So they call it TNF on Thursdays, right? TNF is 40 with the simple cipher, and Atlanta Falcons is 40, right? Now, he made the score 26-14. He wears the number 14. That's 40 points with his touchdown. And then he caught a 2-point conversion to make the score 28-14, thus putting his team up by 14 to number 14 on 14-date numerology. But think about, he made it 26 with his touchdown. Chris Godwin. Yesterday's game was 14 days before Christmas, the day that we celebrate because of the Catholic Church. Again, 1225 has a square root of 35. If you guys don't know this, Jesus, the Roman name for Jesus, equals 35, like Catholic. like Holy See, like Jesuitism. 1225 has a square root of 35. Your first Catholic president, number 35, killed on I-35 at age 46. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters. See the 46 and 71? Look at Sol Invictus, what Christmas really is. The sun's birthday, the sun. The Catholic Church gave you the language where they made sun have this dual meaning, the object in the sky, which they originally worshipped, what Sol Invictus is for, the unconquered sun, and also the male offspring. And by the way, look at unconquered sun. 191, 187, like Society of Jesus. Remember, the physical description of Jesus is that of a darker complected man like SHERRONE Moore or Mel Tucker. Doing this right before the holidays. What else is new? And by the way, you know, Jesus, did you catch that it also has the 19? Today leaves 19 days left in the year. But anyway, Godwin, right? God equals 26 in the Hebrew alphabet, the Tetragrammaton, and in English it equals 26. And don't forget that God makes man in the 26th verse, and Adam also has the 26th connection. So Chris Godwin last night scores the 26 points to make the score 26-14, and then catches the 2-point conversion to make it 28-14. And notice man is 28, and man's made in the image of God. Godwin. It's interesting too. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, yeah. All right. I'll be over on the Patreon. If you want to join us, the link for the Patreon's in the description of every video. Patreon.com/Zachary K. Hubbard. If you just search on Google Patreon Zachary K. Hubbard, you'll be sure to find it. But yeah, again, please don't be the next one to say I'd support your Patreon if you did more than sports on there. Support the Patreon because you like the work I do for free every single day. You know, it is a lot of work, and hardly any of you guys have ever donated $1 towards it. Sometimes I look at all these shill channels, I think, man, maybe it is time to start shilling. I got a daughter to feed. I got a future to think of. Get on here and just start doing some bullshit. Man, the money just flows in. You get people the most important knowledge in the history of humanity in terms of seeing through this cabal. I got maybe $1 for it. It's something's wrong with humanity, you guys. It's beyond sick. So anyway, we'll leave it there. I'll see you over on Patreon or not. Until next time, True Sticker.